From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what's in store over the next 60 minutes. USDA making some slight changes to the supply and demand picture in the U.S. and South America this week.
Well, another one that's not getting much attention, I think, is in the Black Sea region.
How does it change price projections in the months ahead? A drop in net farm income? USDA's first official release of net farm income projections this year confirms farmers' fears. Market analysts are actually bullish on beef.
We're probably down to about half the number of cows from where we were a couple years ago.
But what else could cattle producers wade through this year? That's our Farm Journal report. The science behind the Super Bowl turf.
Turf grass breeding program really has focused on developing varieties that are tough.
And in John's world,
egg prices may have a sunny side.
Now for the news, we'll have recent weather issues impacted South American crops. USDA putting numbers on paper in the latest supply and demand report issued this week. Let's first get to the latest U.S. numbers and ending stocks, with corn ending stocks higher thanks to a 25 million bushel reduction in corn for ethanol demand, but exports were unchanged. Now for soybeans, the projection is for lower crush and higher ending stocks, but no change to exports. So ending stocks are up 15 million, and for wheat, supplies are largely unchanged, with ending stocks raised 1 million bushels. Now USDA left Brazilian production estimates unchanged at 125 million metric tons for corn and 153 million metric tons for soybeans. The big cuts, those came in Argentina as the area battles weeks of dryness. USDA was fairly aggressive, dropping corn production 5 million metric tons to 47 million. Soybean production was cut 4.5 million to 41 million metric tons. We'll talk more about those numbers coming up in our roundtables. Well, there may finally be a diplomatic solution to end Mexico's plan to ban imports of U.S. GMO corn, with reports that Mexico will soon publish a new decree that will keep U.S. corn exports flowing into the country. Mexico's Secretary of Economy now saying if the Federal Commission for Protection Against Sanitary Risk determines U.S. GMO corn is not a threat to human health, then it will have no problem entering Mexico. He says the new decree will address U.S. concerns as well. As reported last week, U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai threatened Mexico during their latest meeting that the U.S. could take Mexico to task through a dispute settlement panel under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, and if Mexico moved forward with plans to ban GMO corn by 2024. Well, USDA is proposing updates to the school nutrition standards, and the dairy industry is weighing in on possible changes to how milk and what flavored milk is served. Currently, some 30 million students eat school lunch. USDA is proposing more whole grains with flexibility for pasta or tortillas once a week. It's pushing to cut salt by up to 30%, reduced gradually and now through 2029. And it's asking for feedback on changes to low-fat flavored milk. Now, one idea would leave milk as is. Another would limit low-fat flavored milk to just older students, eliminating things like chocolate milk for elementary school kids. The goal is to reduce added sugars. The International Dairy Foods Association telling us if that happens, the end result will be fewer kids eating lunch.
Studies have been done in schools in Colorado and New Mexico and Arizona and schools throughout the country. When you remove flavored milk from the school meals menu, you get less participation in the meals program and you get kids consuming less food. When you add it back, those numbers return, they rebound. You get more kids participating. You get them consuming more food, so there's less waste. And why is that important if you're a parent? Because the kids are getting more nutrients, the nutrients that they need.
He says the milk currently served in the schools already meets the new proposal's sugar requirements, adding that flavored milk offers 13 essential nutrients. The improvement in farmer sentiment at the end of last year appears to have carried into the new year. That's according to a new CME group, Purdue University Ag Economy Barometer. The index rising again in January to a reading of 130. That's a 4-point improvement over last year and represents an increase that's a 34 percentage points higher than the 2022 low point that was hit last June. Producers also had some interesting things to say about leasing their land for carbon sequestration.
There continues to be a lot of interest in carbon contracting in agriculture. On the January 23 survey, 9% of the producers in the survey reported having discussions with companies about carbon contracting on their farms. That compares to about 7% of producers who reported the same kind of discussions back in the first quarter of 2021. However, across all of our surveys, just 1% of producers report having actually signed a carbon contract.
Well, those rising production costs, those are just one of the reasons that USDA is forecasting net farm income to drop 16% this year. The Economic Research Service releasing its first net farm income outlook this year, saying expenses will increase by $18.2 billion overall, an increase of more than 4% from last year. Feed expenses, those are in yellow, the largest single expense category, and it's forecast to actually fall more than 5% from last year, but interest expenses are expected to rise more than 22%. That's after a 42% increase last year. That's it for the news. Well, a warm up this past week, along with heavy rains in the south and some surprise snow in parts of the Midwest. We'll have a check of what we're watching for weather next week. That's right after the break.
U.S. Farm Report is sponsored by Germinator Closing Wheels. Germinator steel closing wheels, perfected in conventional, excels in no-till. Order 12 to 16 rows today and qualify for free shipping or 20% off an end zone moisture management package.